I never thought I'd be writing this, but the love of my life just shattered my world into pieces. My husband, Jake, and I met in college and spent 7 years building a life together. We had our ups and downs, but I truly believed we were strong enough to weather any storm. Lately, though, I sensed something off. It began with small things. He'd come home late more often. His phone seemed glued to his hand, and he had this odd habit of closing it whenever I walked into the room. I brushed it off as stress from work or maybe a midlife crisis at 32, but in the back of my mind, those nagging thoughts brewed like a storm cloud. One evening, while cleaning the junk drawer in our kitchen, I stumbled upon a crumpled receipt from a hotel I'd never heard of, dated just 2 weeks prior. My stomach sank. I couldn't shake the image of Jake laughing with someone else in a hotel room. And the more I thought about it, the angrier I became. I confronted him that night, and the way he stammered only fueled my anxiety. He claimed it was a work function that turned into an overnight meeting, only to later admit that it was actually a conference a month earlier. Before I could even process it, I found myself rummaging through his phone the next day while he was in the shower. I didn't want to invade his privacy, but I felt desperate. I had to know. And what I found sent me spiraling. There were text messages, flirty notes, heart emojis, and plans to meet at that same hotel. The name Laura felt like a knife twisting in my gut. I sat frozen on the bathroom floor, my heart racing as I read each message repeatedly, hoping it was some sort of sick joke. But it wasn't. When Jake came out, I confronted him again, and this time he twisted everything back on me. I was just being friendly, he said, his eyes darting away. When I pressed for the truth, he went cold, claiming I was overreacting and paranoid for checking his phone. I felt like I was losing my mind. I remember each moment vividly, the anger coursing through me, the heartbreak wrestling with logic, and the crushing self-doubt whispering that maybe I wasn't enough. How could he betray me like this? Our life felt like a lie, and I was left standing in the rubble of what I thought was my dream. After a sleepless night filled with tears and confusion, I finally decided to leave. I packed a few bags and headed to my sister's place. I needed a safe space to breathe, think, and heal, something I felt I couldn't do while living with the man who'd betrayed me. The following weeks were a haze of anger, sadness, and uncertainty. I filed for divorce, which felt like a heavy weight lifting off my shoulders, yet there was still a gnawing ache inside me. I reflected on the good moments, our laughter, late-night talks, the way he used to look at me. But the betrayal overshadowed everything. Friends and family rallied around me, offering support, yet I still felt lost. I struggled to process how someone I loved could so easily throw away what we built. It was as if I'd been wearing blinders all along. In retrospect, I realize how important it is to pay attention to those gut feelings. If something feels off, don't brush it aside. Trust your instincts and don't ignore the signs. I started therapy and made a pact with myself to prioritize my healing above all else. I'm gradually piecing myself back together, learning to love myself again and finding strength in my vulnerabilities. It's a long road ahead, but I'm determined to walk it. If you are in a similar situation, know that you deserve better than betrayal. It's okay to mourn what you lost, but don't let it define you. You're worth so much more. I never imagined I'd find myself crying on the kitchen floor, clutching a crumpled piece of paper that shattered my world. My husband, Mike, and I had been married for 8 years. While our relationship wasn't perfect, I believed we shared a solid connection. We laughed, shared dreams, and even planned for a second child. Yet, I ignored subtle red flags. His late nights at work grew more frequent, his phone was always in hand, and he often left the room to take calls. One night, while he was in the shower, I noticed his phone buzzing on the counter. Curiosity got the better of me, and I picked it up. The screen lit up with a message from a contact named Jen. My stomach dropped as I read, "Can't wait to see you tonight." It felt like a punch in the gut, and for a moment, I thought I was dreaming. I put the phone down, my heart racing, and waited for him to come out, pretending everything was normal. Days passed, and I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. I began snooping, checking his texts when he left the room, searching for signs, piecing together what I thought was a puzzle of deception. I found more messages, photos that didn't belong, and a sense of dread consumed me. I felt like I was losing my mind, oscillating between disbelief and suspicion. The confrontation happened on a Friday evening. I had crafted my words carefully, rehearsing how to approach the subject without exploding. But as soon as I asked, "Who is Jen?" the air thickened. For a brief moment, he froze, then his face twisted into a defensive mask. "She's just a coworker. You don't need to get jealous," he said, as if I was in the wrong. My heart raced as the reality of his words sank in. I pushed for the truth, and he backpedaled, weaving a web of excuses. "You're paranoid. You've been stressed about work and the baby. You're overthinking this." I was furious and heartbroken, feeling like I was screaming into a void. His denial was maddening. I wanted him to see the pain in my eyes, to understand that his lies cut deeper than any knife. After hours of tears and shouting, he finally admitted to the affair, his voice barely a whisper. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It just..." He tried to explain, but I could hardly hear him over my own heartbeat. Betrayal washed over me like a cold wave, and I felt as if the ground had crumbled beneath my feet. In the days that followed, I was a mess. I couldn't eat or sleep. I replayed every moment of our relationship, questioning everything. The times he'd been too busy, the moments I'd felt so alone. I felt like I had lost a piece of myself, and self-doubt clawed at me. Was I not enough? Had I pushed him away? I struggled to find clarity amidst the chaos. Ultimately, I decided to separate. I wanted to reclaim my life and dignity. I packed some belongings and moved in with my sister, who had been my rock throughout this ordeal. I began attending therapy for guidance and support to rebuild myself. It was tough. Some days felt like victories, while others felt like drowning. Reflecting on this, I realized healing isn't linear. Choosing to separate was about recognizing my worth, not just Mike's betrayal. To anyone in a similar situation, remember, you are not alone. You deserve honesty and respect in your relationships. Trust your instincts, even when they feel painful, and know you can rebuild. It's a hard and messy journey, but every step toward healing is a step toward reclaiming your identity. I never imagined I'd be writing a post like this, but here I am, heartbroken after discovering my husband's betrayal. My husband, Jake, and I had been together almost 10 years, married for 5. We met in college, bonding over late-night study sessions and shared dreams of a loving future. I thought our relationship was built on trust, but looking back, there were subtle red flags I ignored. The first sign was his increasing absences. Jake started working Nate more often, claiming he had project deadlines. I remember the first night I felt doubt. He came home at 3 a.m., smelling of a cologne that wasn't his usual scent. I shrugged it off, convincing myself he was just stressed. There were also little things. His phone was always face down, and he texted more privately. It wasn't until I noticed a new app on his phone that the pieces began to fit. One night, when he stepped into the shower, I picked up his phone out of curiosity. I found a messaging app filled with flirtatious and intimate messages. My heart dropped as I scrolled through them. One stood out. "I can't wait to see you again. Last night was incredible." I felt sick. I wanted to scream, but I stayed quiet, hiding my anguish. When Jake came out of the shower, I knew I had to confront him. My heart raced as I waited for the right moment. Finally, I took a deep breath and asked about the app, trying to keep my voice steady. His reaction was a mix of denial and anger. "It's just a group chat for work. You're being paranoid," he snapped, avoiding my gaze. I pressed further, revealing snippets of what I'd read. Panic filled his eyes as he stammered, "You're misunderstanding everything." Rage bubbled up, but beyond that, I was consumed by heartbreak. How could the person I love do this to me? I questioned myself. Was I not enough? Had I missed all the signs? The pain was suffocating, and I felt a whirlwind of emotions, shock, anger, and a deep sadness that threatened to swallow me. After hours of back and forth, he finally admitted to an emotional affair, claiming it was nothing serious. It felt like being hit by a freight train. I felt utterly crushed. He tried to manipulate the situation, saying I had pushed him away with my insecurities. I was left speechless, grappling with disbelief and fury. In the days following the confrontation, I felt like a ghost in my own home. I replayed our shared moments, trying to understand how I could have been so blind. We went through a phase of trying to work it out, but trust was irrevocably shattered. Each time he touched me, I felt a wall rise between us. I remember one night sitting in silence, the weight of our unspoken words heavy in the air. Eventually, I decided to leave. It wasn't easy. I doubted my choice, thinking about what we had built, but I knew I had to protect my heart and reclaim my life. I filed for divorce, and as painful as it was, I felt a flicker of hope returning, a small light reminding me I could rebuild myself. In the months that followed, I learned to navigate life as a single woman. I immersed myself in self-care, picked up old hobbies, and surrounded myself with supportive friends. Every day was a challenge, but there was also an unexpected sense of liberation. I realized healing takes time, and it's okay to feel angry and hurt. I found strength in vulnerability, and each day I became a little more whole. If you find yourself in a similar situation, trust your intuition. Those gut feelings are there for a reason. It's okay to ask questions and seek the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. You are worthy of love and respect. And if someone shatters that trust, it's not your fault. You deserve better, and sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. Remember, healing isn't linear, but with time, you can emerge stronger than before.